Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared podcast. I'm your host, Austin Creed, and my friends, in the spirit of breaking and staying true to the principles of this show, which is understanding how you're being deceived, lied to, and exploited, I think I would be doing you, the audience, a disservice in not addressing. We've talked about the left wing, and that's pretty general, it's pretty broad. But I want to focus mainly on the mainstream media. Whether it's the MSM, the social media, justice warriors, you do not hate them enough. Why would I say a thing like that? Why would I use such an incendiary word? Hatred. Austin, how could you use the word hatred? That's just terrible. How could you ever use such a phrase like that? Well, here's the reality. The whole ICE protests, they're not being covered with transparency. I mean, why would they? People are very easily manipulated by the first thing that they see, and we all know this. The media knows it. And because of that, they know that no matter what they say, there are some people who are going to inherently always believe it to be true. They're going to always believe it to be true, regardless of whether it's factually correct. Backed up with evidence, they don't care because they like the person saying it. They think the person who's saying it, other people believe them because it's on TV. I could go down the list. They will believe the first thing they see, most people. And so before I became an insurance adjuster, which is what I'm doing for work now, I worked as a contractor. And there was a saying as a contractor that the first person who knocks the door gets the deal. In other words, the first person that you see, you're more likely to trust. You're more likely to do business with them because they're the first ones to approach your door. In the same way, people are most likely going to believe the first thing they see when they see a topic like that. They're going to believe what they think everybody else believes. Whether it's with, I think his name is Alec Pesci. Is that his name? I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. Whether it's about him, whether it's about Renee Good, whether it's about anybody else, they will believe the first thing that they see because that's what everyone else believes. They will believe it because that is what they think is true. That's what the media is saying is true. And that's why you don't hate them enough. Because even if they're wrong, which most of the time I would tell you that they are, they do this thing that you would never get away with in sports. And it's called moving the goalpost. They move from this to, for example, let's take the Renee Good example. At first, when it first happened, people on all the alphabet channels were saying, oh, she didn't hit him with the car. That's ridiculous. No, she didn't do that. She just was gunned down in cold blood. She didn't hit anybody with her car. Yes, she did. And guess what? When that was pointed out, guess what they did?
Stop lying!
They proceeded to say, oh, well, she might have hit him with her car, but she was scared. I mean, she was trying to get away. These people were not wearing masks and they were scary and she was trying to run away. You see how I'm showing you that there's no accountability in the media. Even if they get things wrong, which they usually do, nobody says, wait, hold on. Hold on, Wolf Blitzer, you said this. Wait, hold on, Rachel Maddow, you said that. Wait, hold on there. Hold on there, Sanjay Gupta, you said this. They don't care about any of that. They're not worried about it. And why should they? Why should they be worried if no one's gonna call them to the mat? If no one's gonna say, hey, you were wrong. And you need to tell us the truth. You need to be more careful next time. You need to not jump the gun. Guess what? They're not going to do that. And you know why they're not gonna do it? Because no one's making them do it. No one's making them do it. So they can just get away with lying to you.
You lied to me.
They lie. And the minute they get caught with this overwhelming amount of evidence, they change the argument. They move the goalpost to say, oh, well, maybe she didn't hit, maybe she did hit him with a car, but she's still not on the hook. I mean, it's not her fault. And this other one's no different. They're covering it like, oh, he was executed Gestapo style from the Sopranos to tap the back of the head. No, that's not what happened at all. It was a tragic situation, I grant you that. It's absolutely tragic. It shouldn't have happened. Problem is, it did. And the other problem is, you're not scratching below surface level to care about the issue. And let me explain to you why. Should it have happened? No. No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't have happened. Guess what? Here's what you're not focusing on. You're not focusing on, number one, who is paying these people to go protest every single day in freezing temperatures? Who's paying them? Who's paying for the so-called non-profits? Who's supporting them? Who's giving them money? Who's paying for their legal fees? Who's going out there and giving them resources? Who's letting them exchange information on their platforms? Huh? Oh, yes, you heard me right. This is not something that's just, I just so happen to show up with my camera and just so happen to know this person's being raided. No, my friends, it's all orchestrated. They know what's happening. These are professional agitators. Not all of them, but a lot of them are paid agitators. This is their job. They're called rent-a-mobbers. It's a saying going back to the civil rights days. There are some people, this is their full-time job, is to be a professional agitator. And this, my friends, is why I'm coming to you today on the show and telling you, you don't hate the media enough, because they're not forced to provide receipts. They're not forced to get up on the air and say that they were wrong about something and how they misled you and they're sorry and here's the facts. They don't do that. There is zero accountability for them. None. And this is why, for the first time, we're seeing people fight back. People meaning mostly Republicans. They're fighting back and they're saying, you know what? No, we're going to sue you. No, we're not going to just let you lie, nakedly bald lie to us and the American people and have no repercussions at all. Let me put it to you like this. If a surgeon slips with a scalpel, even on accident, he stands to lose his medical license. Why is there no malpractice lawsuits for the media? Why is there no discussion as to, wait a minute, they've been wrong about this, they've been wrong about that, they've been wrong about this, they've been wrong about that. We need to call them before Congress. We need to discuss, why are they purposefully putting out this, and even if it's on accident, even if it's an accident, why are they not more careful then? Why are they not researching things before they shoot their big mouths off on to millions of people who are going to believe them?
This is the worst kind of discrimination, the kind against me.
Because they have that kind of attitude. They think that everything is discrimination except for what's really the root of the problem, which is them. They make millions of dollars. You don't think that you're the one that has to deal with the roads being blocked. You're the one that has to deal with your business being burned down. If you're an ICE agent and you're being harassed, your family's trying to be doxxed, all these things. You think that you're not having to deal with that? The answer is you are. You know who's not? The people who live up on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. The people who live in Orange County. The people who live in the upper suburbs of Austin, Texas. The people who live up in Seattle. The people who live in Portland. They're not dealing with this, and you are. That's the problem. You are dealing with the fallout. They don't need to. It's not going in their neighborhood. You don't even know what zip code they're in. But they know that that's not going to affect them, whether they're right or wrong. You think people on their network's going to call them out and say that they were wrong? No. You think people on social media, besides people on the other side of the aisle, are going to sit there and tell them they got a clean house? No. No, they're not. Because the lie spreads faster than the truth. And it's a tragic situation, but that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the media needs to clean itself up. Because the American people, even the ones in the middle, we see what you're doing. Logical Democrats, they see what you're doing. We know what's happening. And there are bad actors on the right, I'll give you all that. But here's the problem. The media is overwhelmingly controlled by the left. And don't give me this garbage about Fox. Fox is not even that right wing. They're not even that much right. They're more towards the center. They're not really that right wing, to be totally frank. But of course, you're not going to believe that because people don't even know what the right wing looks like anymore. The right wing has been so far removed from what it actually is. Nobody even really knows what a right winger is anymore. They're just called far right if you're not for abortion, if you're not for the extortion of the treasury we see in states like Minneapolis. I mean, in states like Minnesota, cities like Minneapolis. As long as you're not, as long as you are, if you're not down for the diversity in every step and in every way, if you're not down for all these Democrat ideas, then you're far right. You're not in the center. You're not even on the right side of the left wing. You're just basically a right wing extremist in that at that point. In their eyes, that's what you are. And they're creating the Frankenstein that they despise, that they're scared of. They are creating the very thing that they hate, which is radical right wing extremism building up in this country. They're the ones creating it. You think that there has to be a big selling point for recruitment for these organizations that are I would condemn as well? Of course not. They don't have to recruit. They're all over the message boards on the internet. Guess what? You know who's causing it is the media, calling white males the problem in America instead of saying, hey, this idea is an issue. Let's discuss the idea. I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt who said that smart people talk about ideas, semi-average people talk about places, and dumb people talk about people. And of course, no one wants to discuss those ideas in detail and in depth, and instead they want to discuss the demented side of the opposition, which to me, I don't even need to talk about it that much. It's self-evident. All you gotta do is look. It's not hard. My friends, I want you to understand the world you're living in. I want you to understand that despite all the problems the right has, which the right has a lot of fake news on it as well, the left wing is not called to the mat. All you gotta do is look at the fact that what happened to Ilhan Omar, which was horrible, by the way. I don't think it should happen to anybody in politics. Did you notice, though, that when someone approached her, she didn't even seem like she was in trouble? Ever since Charlie Kirk, anybody on the right has to get bodyguards, tattoos on their eyeballs to protect them from these street vermin. Meanwhile, she sees a dude who looks like a crack addict sitting in front of her, and she thinks nothing's going to happen because she's untouchable. Like, she has nothing to worry about. When people on the right wing, we know we have issues. We know we got problems. We know people are out for us. They don't have to worry about it. They are not stressed at all. Zero. They don't care. My friends, I need you to understand that wherever you line up, that there is not an equal application of accountability in this country, and it needs to be discussed. It needs to be outrooted because all it's going to do is cause uprisings both online and hopefully it doesn't transfer, but it could into the real world, into a real Part 2 Civil War, which we're kind of seeing in a microcosm in Minneapolis. But hopefully it doesn't overflow into something that's out of control and something we can't stop. I don't want that to happen. And I know if you think you want it to happen, you don't know anything about war. Nothing. Nobody wins in a war. Someone just loses more. War is not something that we should be championing unless we have a very decisive way to do it with a minimal casualties. And even then, someone's losing. I don't believe we should champion it. I think it's necessary, but I don't think that we need to have it be celebrated. Armchair warriors, I don't want to hear jack from y'all. Jack. I don't want to hear anything from you. You don't understand war. You play war games and you think you know what war is. No. You sit in Andrew Tate's war room and you think that you know what war is. No, you don't. And if you say I don't, you're right. I haven't been in a war, but I've been in the military. Have you? Probably haven't. I've dealt with weapons of mass destruction. Have you? Probably not. I know more than most people do about the sea burn. You probably don't even know what sea burn is. My friends, I need you to understand not that I know things, but that you need to open your eyes to the world you're living in and understand that you're being exploited by the people who you think are telling you the truth, who you think are giving you the news. They're giving you propaganda. They're giving you something that they want you to believe, not something that's actually true. And the most powerful lies are laced with truth. Just as the most powerful drugs are laced with something else. You need to understand that. And I think you do. Because if you made it this far and you're still listening, you understand that I'm not crazy. You understand that this is an application, a wake-up call, if you will, for you to change the way you think, to change the lives of the people that are around you who are falling for this propaganda, and you you sit there and you watch them do it, and you ask them, why are you doing this? Why do you believe this? Why are you so stupid that you're not looking into these things? Ask yourself that question. Because if you don't have an answer and they don't have an answer, don't approach them and be mean about it. Don't call them an idiot, even though you probably could. Don't do that. Just ask them, like, why do they believe what they believe? And then present them with an alternative opinion and see how they react, because that'll tell you everything you need to know. If they react hostilely to you, then you know they don't want to know the truth. They just want to believe what they want to believe. They don't want to know the truth. The truth means you're open to being wrong. That's truth seeking. That's not just believing I'm right and nothing can ever prove me wrong. I could be very wrong. And I have been in my life, which is why I'm pursuing the truth. You should do the same. I want you to win. I want you to love life. And I want you to understand that you're being exploited. That's what I want. The problem is you don't know that. And instead what you're doing is seeing things in a way that you want, not in the way that it actually is. And it's sad. Too many people do it. And unfortunately, it's something that is done on both sides, not just on one. But the problem is one side's called to the mat for their issues and the other side is not. And if you want to call me a liar, go right ahead. But I have receipts. All you gotta do is watch the channels that are going away like the dodo bird. Watch the alphabet channels that are having more people not watch them and instead go to X, instead go to TikTok, instead go to YouTube. That's where they're going to for their content. That's where they're going for their news. They're not going to watch Wolf Blitzer. They're not going to watch MSNBC, or they're not going to watch these people as much as they used to because there's just not enough there. But they're still having an impact beyond anything you could ever imagine because they have such loyal adults who don't question what they hear. That is the only way to live in this life and have your opinion hold any weight in the realm of reality. In the ring of reality, if you don't have any substance to what you say, you're going to get thrown out of the ring and body slammed at the WWE. There's going to be no fake fight. It's going to be you stepping into the realm of reality and getting your feelings hurt and then making it about your feelings and not the facts that are being presented to you. That's why you don't hate the media enough, because they don't have to do that. They live in a microcosm of everybody who agrees with them, and they never have people on who disagree with them. When's the last time you saw a genuine right-winger on CNN? Not one of the fake rhinos they drag up out of Congress, out of the swamps of the 1990s in George Bush's administration. Talking about genuine right-wingers. They don't. Because they spit on you. They don't want to hear from you. They think you're all stupid Neanderthals. They don't care about what you think. But they'll say whatever they want to say, and the schmucks will believe them. And then they'll call you stupid for not believing them. They'll call you stupid because you didn't listen to Wolf Blitzer spew his bullshit on CNN. They'll call you stupid. Meanwhile, they don't have a scintilla of evidence outside of propaganda that was fed to them and made them feel a certain way, so they took it as fact because they wanted to feel about what they were feeling and like they were part of a righteous cause. You know, at one point I did a whole show about the propaganda surrounding warfare. Maybe I need to redo that show. I did that a couple years ago. Maybe I need to redo that show. Because once you realize the propaganda surrounding war, you'll realize that the realm of warfare extends in the realm of politics so closely, it's frightening. It should frighten you to know that politics is civilized warfare. It's something that is so intertwined and interlocked that in the same way that religion and politics can't be separated, warfare and politics can't be separated, because warfare is physical and economical and whatnot, versus politics just comes up short of physical violence, just comes up short of rhetoric that can't be undone. So understand that when you realize that these types of words, these types of shows, these types of people who talk about politics day and night, they do have power and they should be held accountable for what they're saying and what they're doing. Because if they don't, that's no different than having people in the realm of warfare have no consequences for their actions. We've seen how that's affected humanity. That's why we have war crimes. There was a time when there was no such thing. There was just those who won and those who lost. The Greeks are famous for saying that the strong take what they can and the weak suffer what they must. But we don't live in that world anymore because of social media. We don't live in that world as much anymore because the international community isn't as tribal as it once was. But guess what? In the realm of politics, it very much still exists. My friends, you let me know. What do you think of the media? Do you think they're full of characters of above reproach, or they're a bunch of scum-sucking vermin? What do you think they are? Anywhere in between that? You let me know, because at the end of the day, the media has been exposed ever since Trump's been on the public stage as being fake news, as being people who subvert reality and the truth to push a narrative that benefits them and the people they want in power. You let me know what you think. Do you think I'm right? You think I'm wrong? I'd love to hear about it. Till then, I'm out of here. Peace.